Welcome to another edition of Crime News with Mark Solomon. It's Monday, August 2nd, 2021, and today we're going to be talking about a lot of different topics. First, we're going to talk a little bit about the Lori Vallow-Daybell case and how the charges have been adjusted. Read things have been dropped. I'm going to touch a little bit about a viewer question on an issue that was going on in the Summer Wells case as far as the removal of the boys from the home and why it's in a certain court. I'm also going to talk about a case really troubling. I'm going to touch a little bit on a trial that just started in Boston. And last thing, a judge in Colorado, rather a former judge, now disbarred, sentenced to prison. Stay tuned. But before we get to that, don't forget to click like and subscribe with a little bell next to it to be notified of future videos. If you're enjoying these videos, let me know that by clicking like and subscribe with the bell so you can be notified when I upload future videos. So let's get right into the Lori Vallow-Daybell case. Now, as you might have known last week, there were some changes in the charges, and the prosecutor has dropped certain charges. Wonder why? They did not explain why they did that. But what they did do is, after a request from the Fremont County Prosecutor's Office, the district court judge dismissed 6 counts, 2 counts of conspiracy to conceal, alter, or destroy evidence against Lori Vallow-Daybell, and 2 counts of conspiracy and 2 counts of concealment, alteration, and destruction of evidence against Chad Daybell. Why would they have done that? And anybody's guess. Here's the thing. When a prosecutor looks at their case and they're trying to do an evaluation of what charges they can prove, what gets prioritized, what doesn't, oftentimes they can add charges, they can dismiss charges, they can change charges, also known as amending them. Let's look a little bit about one article that I found. A distinguished law expert from Idaho told it that it could be for a number of reasons, that most commonly the strategy has to do with any of these 3 things: simplification, evidence, or part in the negotiation process with the defense. Next thing I wanted to talk about was a viewer question asking why, when last week the boys were removed from the home in the Wells residence, Don Wells had to go to juvenile court. And this viewer is asking, shouldn't this be in domestic relations court? Well, guess what? Every single court has their own jurisdiction as far as where these types of cases are held. Here, they were in juvenile court in Hawkins County, and basically, that's just where these Department of Child Protective Services cases are held. Interestingly enough, every single jurisdiction has a different place where these cases are held. Most of the time I've ever seen it, it's in domestic relations court. That's where it is here in Colorado. Back my home state of Virginia, that's where both juvenile cases and domestic relations were held in the same court. It's juvenile and domestic relations court. Here in Colorado, it's juvenile and domestic relations. They're the same level of court. They're both district court, but they're separated into different divisions. So all I can say is in Hawkins County, that's just where these types of child abuse, dependency, neglect, and custody issues are held. Next case I wanted to talk about is an absolutely horrible case out of Minnesota, where a man literally beheaded his girlfriend when she was trying to break up with him. He did this in public on a street corner, and the body and decapitated head was found by citizens, called the police, and he is now in custody and facing charges. We'll try to keep track of what's going on in this case, but let's move on. In Boston, a trial just started with the picking of the jury in the case where a man shot at police officers, and Sergeant Gannon was killed in 2018. Defendant in this case also shot at the canine who was hit. Canine's okay. That trial is beginning. So 50 prospective jurors. We'll see where that goes. Next case, and this is the one I wanted to spend a little bit more time on here at the end of the video. A Colorado judge, former judge now, acted very inappropriately, and back in August of last year was about to be removed. He resigned, and he was charged with obstruction. Let's take a look and see what happened there. Former Colorado judge sentenced for obstructing federal officers in an investigation in a drug trafficking organization. This is Judge Ryan Kamada, or former judge, 42 years old, pleaded guilty back on June 30, 2020, and he was sentenced just Wednesday or Thursday of last week to a year and a day in prison. Again, all the articles that I'm linking to are in the description below. Anytime a judge does something he's not supposed to do, it's governed by the Colorado Code of Judicial Conduct. And in this sense, he was sanctioned back in August of last year, 2020. Kamada violated several rules of professional conduct and judicial conduct while serving first as a county magistrate and then as a district court judge. He served as a magistrate. He purchased marijuana from a friend on multiple occasions. He also looked up information on third-party conviction for the same friend. Over the group text chain, he disclosed information about a former client and her case. He discussed with his friends several cases over which he presided and made disparaging remarks about a lawyer who appeared with him. And all of those allegations in that paragraph pale to what he did as a district court judge. When he reviewed a warrant request by the Joint Drug Task Force, the law enforcement officer noted that Kamada was connected to members of the warrant's subject's social media network. The officer took the warrant to the next judge on the on-call list. Kamada then discussed the warrant with a friend who then informed the warrant subject. The friend then asked Kamada for updates on the investigation, and he fabricated information in an attempt to convince his friend to avoid the warrant subject. So think about this. As a sitting judge in district court, that's the highest level trial court in Colorado, and he gets information and tries to warn his friend to stay away from the subject of the warrant by saying, this guy's under investigation, avoid him. So that friend then tells the subject of the warrant investigation, which literally obstructs the investigation and clues the warrant subject that he's under investigation, which is exactly what law enforcement officers tried to avoid by avoiding Judge Kamada. And in this case, that didn't work. He found out about it and warned his friend, who then warned the subject. That's wholly inappropriate. As the presiding disciplinary judge goes on to say that, and he cites several rules, including the Colorado judicial canons: a judge shall comply with the law, kind of a basic concept. Judge shall act at all times in a manner that provides public confidence in independence, integrity, and impartiality of the judiciary. And this is a key tenet that happens in just about every situation where we talk about a judge's conduct. They shall avoid impropriety and the appearance of impropriety. So in other words, it's not good enough just to do the right thing. It has to look like you're trying to do the right thing too. And in this sense, I read in another article, another opinion, that had he not resigned, the presiding disciplinary judge would have removed him. The Supreme Court would have gotten rid of him as a judge because of his inappropriate actions. And now he's spending a year and a day in federal prison for his action in warning that subject and pleading guilty to obstruction. The year and a day, why and a day? The answer is that way he gets good time, which I think amounts to somewhere between 54 to 57 days off of his year and a day sentence. So he will be spending the next 10 months or so in the custody of the Federal Bureau of Prisons. And that's all I've got today. If you've got any thoughts, feelings, questions, comments, anything you'd like to talk about, issues in today's videos or anything I haven't talked about, please put them in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching.